Morning everybody, and welcome to day 4 of Greater Manchester Virtual Careers Fair. Today we will be discussing careers within the media, marketing and creative sector. We've got a great lineup of guest speakers this morning. We're going to be hearing from some industry experts sharing their career success stories. We've got Strawberry Radio, Studio 91, Apprentice Trust, Coliseum Theatre, all giving their accounts about a career in the marketing industry. We've got some training providers and support service providers here to talk to you about routes into the sector, as well as an update on some entry-level jobs and opportunities to help get your career started. Before we get going with a very full schedule this morning, please be aware that today's session is a live event hosted on Microsoft Teams. Only the presentation and the guest speakers are visible, so don't worry about having your camera or microphone muted. We'll be recording the session to be made available on YouTube later, so if there's anything that you find particularly interesting, you can come back and check it out again later, as well as sharing it with other people that you know. For the next hour and a half, we'll be following this event schedule. So we will start off by talking about some general careers insights, labour market updates, a little bit of an overview to the sector. We'll be looking at some role profiles, different types of jobs that you can do and the career prospects on offer, as well as giving some general advice on how to get started without experience, change sectors if you've been working in a different industry, and what training and qualifications are required. Then, as I say, from about 10:15, we'll be hearing from some training providers, talking about everything from work experience and traineeships to courses that you can get started with right now. And then we've got some great employers and industry experts coming up at about 11:15. So just as a general introduction, today's event is part of National Careers Week, and there's a huge amount of information available to fit with the different activities that are going on throughout the week. You can check those all out on the National Careers Week website, which I've included here. They've got their own dedicated TV channel with employer videos streaming all the time, different workshops that you can sit in on depending on what career sector that you're looking at joining, and they've also got some really great downloadable activities that you can use and customise throughout the course of the week. Across Greater Manchester, there's a fantastic array of events going on hosted by ourselves and Bridge GM, so be sure to check those out. You can find out more by using the hashtag GMCW2021 on social media. As part of today's events, we've put together a range of resources to help you. So you'll be able to have access to a skills builder profile that helps you look at things that you're good at now, perhaps subjects that you enjoy doing, things that you've learned from maybe jobs that you've had in the past, free CV templates, career roadmap planning tools to help you figure out how to get to those end goals, an employer evaluation sheet to help you make some notes on people that you've heard about or sat in on careers talks with this week. Plus, you can also download a participation certificate to show that you've taken part in Greater Manchester Careers Week. You can take that along to your careers advisor, training provider, maybe your work coach or even your employer to show that you've taken part as part of professional development activities. After the event, we'll be sending around an information pack to everybody who's signed up, containing the links to all of the employers and industry experts that we've heard from today, live links to any job vacancies within the sector that you might want to apply for straight away, details of all the courses and training providers, as well as some tips on starting a career within the sector. All this information can be found on our website, that's stockport-jobsmatch.co.uk/career-development. It's a bit of a mouthful, and on there as well you'll find access to over 3,000 job vacancies in Stockport and across Greater Manchester, including apprenticeships and work experience placements and traineeships and volunteer jobs. You'll also find over 100 careers advice articles, so these cover everything from how to get started with a career in the sector through to how to think about what jobs you might want to do, starting in your first job, how to pass your probation, all different stages at your career. So if you're looking for general advice, go on and take a look. You can also search within our events calendar and training directory to see what's coming up if you want to attend some events over the next couple of weeks. You might also find it useful to register for a free jobs match account, and then when you're using the website you can shortlist jobs, or you can bookmark those career articles that we've mentioned, save them into your account and come back to them later, or use it again to show your careers advisor or work coach the type of activities that you've been up to in your spare time. So moving on to talking about some career insights and labour market trends within marketing, media and creative. So as you can imagine, marketing is a core element of all businesses now. It's how they communicate with their customers, let people know about their brands, and send out information about their products and services. As a result, opportunities occur across all industry sectors, so public, private and voluntary. The industry tends to be divided into two types of roles, those that are in-house, where you are marketing your own company's products and services, and those that are agency-based, so you'll get to work on a range of different campaigns for other organisations, usually linked to a particular sector. Surprisingly, just less than a quarter of people working in media, marketing and creative jobs work freelance. I thought that would have been higher. Traditionally, the majority of jobs were based down in London, but once Media City moved up to Salford in 2007, we've seen a huge surge in the number of digital jobs created within the Northwest, and it started to emerge as a real regional creative hub, which is fantastic to see. Just over a third of marketing graduates start work as marketing associates. So marketing is a really great career path to get started in, because it gives you a broad array of skills that can then be transferable to other jobs within different business areas. So only a third stick within marketing, and the others take on related roles within marketing and use their skills to broaden that out a little bit, whether that be in business, project related roles, PR, sales or freelance opportunities. The candidate market, the jobs market for creative and marketing roles is very, very candidate driven. And what that means is that there are fewer jobs than there are applicants. So candidates also almost have control of those labour market trends, which puts you in a good position when you're applying for job opportunities. Good applicants are always very much in demand, so those who've got work experience and the key skills that our employers are looking for, or maybe the training and qualifications, tend to be snapped up quickly, and there's really positive hiring intentions from the sector over the course of the next 6 to 12 months of people with marketing budgets that they want to spend that will be hiring to expand their teams. And of those vacancies, digital marketing is the most in demand and continues to be the most sought after skill set as more and more businesses switch to online. So that's a little bit of an introduction to give you an insight. In terms of the role profiles available, as it says here, if you've got digital skills, so you've got awareness of technologies and how to use them, social media, etc. We'll come on to those skills in a moment. If you've got an innovative mind, you're quite a creative person, and you like to keep up with the latest industry trends, marketing is something that you're passionate about, and you want to develop a career in the industry, there's lots of different opportunities for you. I've listed some of those on here, but to be honest with you, I could have had 2 or 3 slides with all of the different types of job titles. Couple of areas that you can work within: print, digital, as we've mentioned, advertising, PR, broadcast, journalism, events, film, TV and radio, photography, communications. Those were just some that I've jotted down, but there really is a wide spectrum of careers within the sector. The best idea is to go onto websites like National Careers Service or Prospects. They have areas of their websites with all of these job descriptions, job titles listed, and you can click into those and view the specific job titles. So what a day in the life of a PR consultant involves, how you get your first job in PR, what kind of skills they're looking for, even right down to what they might ask you in an interview for a PR position. If you can't find access to those online, another good way of finding out more about what different jobs involve is to go onto job boards, search for vacant positions, click into the job advertisements, read the job descriptions, and you'll get an understanding of what employers are looking for in those types of roles and the skills required. In terms of career prospects, as we've mentioned, the jobs are really in demand due to the increasing ways that we consume media. Everybody's got a kind of social media account now where they look out for brands chosen on their values. So marketing plays a really big role in that, and is obviously growing all of the time. The other advantages to working within the marketing and media sector is that it tends to be a really dynamic and fun working environment. And I'm sure some of the guest speakers that we've got on board today will reiterate that. It tends to be a very dynamic, very sociable team. Everybody's very passionate and creative and likes keeping up with the latest trends. So a great environment to work in, and a particularly good environment for entry-level candidates because it tends to be a nice, friendly place to join. There are very competitive salaries within marketing, but there's also lots of opportunity to increase your earnings potential as you gain experience within different areas. And that's not necessarily experience due to longevity and time served within a job, but it's the variety of the projects that you get involved with or the different technologies that you start to use that will make you more in demand and able to compete at those higher levels. There's lots and lots of different career choices within the marketing arena, as we've already mentioned. You can specialise within a particular area, you can change from one sector to another, you can take on different projects and secondments. You might find that your career path diversifies to get involved in lots of different types of campaigns, or that you're presented with the opportunity to set up your own business. And there's lots of flexibility in roles, particularly over the course of the last 12 months. Lots of them are now being undertaken remotely, which gives you the advantage that you can work from absolutely anywhere. So if you want to go and take your laptop over to Dubai and complete your freelance project work from there, you absolutely can. As it says, freelancing is increasingly popular, and what that means is it gives you the flexibility to choose your own hours and workload, although sometimes that can mean that you actually work more than the standard office hours. So those are just some of the advantages of choosing marketing as a career path. In terms of the entry requirements, what do you need to get started with a career in marketing, media and creative? Well, first up, you need strong technical skills. You need to be able to use a wide range of technologies, and there's lots of different tools that you can download and use from home to figure these out. So lots of the different social media tools, scheduling tools, design tools like Canva, which is a free tool that you can download and have a play around with, being able to manipulate different types of artwork or produce videos. I'm sure Ben later on will talk to you about some of the technologies around those, but there's lots of free software tools that you can use now, and it doesn't matter specifically which type of software it is, as long as you've got a really good grasp of how to use these things and are quite technically minded. You'll also need a creative and analytical skill set. So you'll need to be able to have the soft skills as well as lots of business acumen, covering both sections, because a lot of the roles within marketing now want a broader understanding of customer insights and being able to analyse that kind of data to then influence marketing campaigns that are coming up. In terms of personal characteristics, you'll need to be hardworking, experimental, good at multitasking, able to learn, dynamic, with bags of enthusiasm, flexibility, good problem solving skills. These are the kind of qualities that you want to try and highlight on your CV by pulling them out of previous work experience roles that you've had, or perhaps including them at the top of your CV with some examples of how you might have demonstrated those skills. They'll certainly be the types of skills that will be asked about in an interview scenario, so you'll need to think of some good examples to give there. In terms of the training and qualifications that you might need, it really does depend on the type of job that you're going for and how in demand and competitive it is, and whether you're applying for a big company with a set graduate scheme or whether you're applying to work for an independent. Some require absolutely no qualifications at all. They'll look for people who've got some work experience, or maybe have done college level courses, or just some freelance or project work. You know, that might be having a vlog or a YouTube channel. So things like that can count for a lot. Others do require a degree because they are a little bit more competitive. So, for example, the roles within journalism, or if you want to become a runner at the BBC, chances are those will require higher level qualifications. It's a good idea to take a look at some of these jobs if you're considering them now, and have a think about what entry requirements they've specified on the job advertisement, so that you can make sure that you're lining yourself up to go down the career path that you want. It's also great to get work experience, as we've mentioned, and internships, apprenticeships, traineeships, freelance, voluntary or project jobs are a great way to do that. So be sure to look out for those on the web, and we often have positions like that advertised on the Jobs Match website, so be sure to keep an eye out there. Right, so that's an overview of everything to do with marketing, media and creative careers. I'm now going to come on to some training providers who are going to give you a little bit more information about how to get started. So first up, we have got Kerry and Leighton at Juniper, talking about some of the training provision that they have, and traineeships in particular. Leighton, is it you first?
It is indeed.
Great stuff.
Thank you. So Kerry sends her apologies. Unfortunately, she can't make it today. She has been double booked. So yeah, you've got to put up with me. So do apologise. So good morning, everybody. What I want to do today is just got a couple of slides really to talk to you regarding apprenticeships, both from an apprentice's point of view and also from the employer's side of things. So just to start off really on a little bit about Juniper. So we are an independent training provider, and we're basically there to focus on employment outcomes for apprentices. We've been operating since 1983, so we've got nearly 40 years worth of experience in the sector of apprenticeships and traineeship programs, and developing individuals of all ages through their career. And you see from the slide that we supported thousands of students and continue to do that year on year, and we are registered as a good provider for our training provision.
Sorry, Leighton, you've put yourself on mute. Can you just start again on that slide?
Sorry, I do apologise.
There you go.
So basically, what is an apprenticeship? An apprenticeship is a programme of learning whilst in employment. So basically, as an individual, you'd be employed by an organisation, and during that time, you would be working on a qualification relative to your career. Just want to change the subject 1 second. I do apologise to everybody. I'm just having some plumbing work done. The boiler broke a few days ago, so the plumber was in yesterday, but is finishing off today. I didn't realise it was going to take the 2 days. So if there's some bumping and banging in the background, I do apologise. So just heard him start work again, so thought I'd best mention it. So basically, how old do you have to be for an apprenticeship? Historically, going back quite a number of years, apprentices were generally the 16 to 18 age group. That's changed a hell of a lot over probably the last 5 to 10 years. So basically now anyone of any age can do an apprenticeship. Can you do an apprenticeship if you've been to college? Yes, you can. Again, something that's changed over the last few years. Historically, if you'd been to university, you were eligible to do an apprenticeship. Back in May 2018, there was a series of reforms that were put in place where the rules and regulations of apprenticeships changed entirely. So you can do one if you're any age and any prior experience and qualifications, as long as it's not in the same subject. So if you've got a business degree at university, of course you wouldn't be able to do a business apprenticeship. Equally though, on the other side of that, you may be able to do a digital marketing apprenticeship, even though you've got the business degree, or customer service or something like that. So as long as it's not in directly the same topic, then it's something that certainly can be considered. What will you earn as an apprentice? Well, the minimum apprenticeship wage at the moment is £4.15 per hour. That's going up in April to £4.30 per hour. So that's the minimum wage. Some employers will and do actually pay more. I've had one for a young apprentice, and he's 17. I've just filled the role, and his entry salary has been £8.36 per hour, which is absolutely fantastic. And yeah, as you can understand, this guy, as you can imagine, is over the moon. If you're looking for an apprenticeship, then basically different ways of doing it. Ourselves as Juniper Training, we have our own website, and we put the apprenticeship vacancies on there. Anything that I have that comes to me directly, I'm a member of Manchester Jobs on Facebook, so I post the vacancies onto there, and all of our vacancies go on to the National Apprenticeship website. So if you Google find an apprenticeship, you'll go through to the government website and just click the search button. You can put in your postcode or the town that you live in. It gives you an option to search for a specific type of apprenticeship, or you can leave it blank. You can put the radius of which you are able to travel, which might be anything between 2 miles to nationally, and then click the search button, and that will bring up every apprenticeship that's available. I've had a quick search for Greater Manchester this morning, and I put the digital, I just searched digital, and I came up with 2 pages worth of digital marketing and digital related apprenticeships. As I say, that's word specific. I know there's marketing stuff out there, there's business administration, lots of different stuff. So as an employer, what's the benefit for yourself? How can an apprentice help your business? Well, basically it's an absolutely fantastic opportunity. So in a nutshell, an apprentice will come in. You can recruit an apprentice as you would any other member of staff. The salary, as I say, that you choose to pay them is entirely up to you, as long as you pay them the £4.30 as it will be per hour. For a 16 to 18-year-old, that salary can be for the duration of the apprenticeship. For someone who is 19 and above, you can pay them the £4.30 per hour for the first 12 months of that apprenticeship. Excuse me. Thereafter, you must pay them the minimum wage reflective of their age, or of course more. It's entirely up to you. So with that, that's the starting point. It gives you the opportunity to develop someone to the role that you want. So there is educational training within the topic. So if we looked at, say, the business administration qualifications, as ourselves as Juniper Training, we would actually be delivering training through our remote workshops related directly to the topics contained within the apprenticeship. In addition to that, you as an employer can actually support on the development, and we would hope that you would support on the development of the individual within your work role. In addition to that as well, you can actually continue an apprenticeship. You can do an apprenticeship now at, say, level 2, and then move that on to level 3, and so on and so on. See that Carol just gives us, there's a list of some of the apprenticeships that we do. That list does change and does increase as we go along. We're always looking for new avenues for apprenticeships, and what the organisations that we're working with, what they're actually asking us for to move through the situation. And we're also keeping an eye at the moment and continually on apprenticeships which are in development. So there's always that opportunity moving forward. In addition to that, as an employer, there's a number of incentives available. So at the moment, the government have got a quota for apprenticeships. Existing for any 16 to 18-year-old, there was a grant of £1,000 available, which is for an employer to use towards the apprentice's development and learning. However, back in August, September last year, the government introduced additional incentives. So in addition to that £1,000 for a 16 to 18-year-old, you can actually, if you recruited a member of staff between the 1st of August and start them onto an apprenticeship by the end of March this year, you actually would gain an additional £2,000 incentive. That's for 16 to 18-year-old. For a 19 to 24-year-old inclusive, then that would be £2,000, and then for anyone who is 25 and above, it was £1,500. So if you've recruited anybody within that amount of time, so since the end of August 2020, and you start them on an apprenticeship before the end of March this year, and they weren't an existing member of staff, then you will qualify for those incentives. Equally, from the budget yesterday, the government has announced further changes and further incentives, which are absolutely fantastic. So basically, from the 1st of April, any organisation who recruits an apprentice will actually qualify for a flat £3,000 incentive, regardless of age, and it's there. Equally, in addition to that, for an employer that recruits an apprentice who is 16 to 18 years of age, you will get an additional £1,000. So you're looking at £4,000 for a 16 to 18-year-old to support your organisation. So that's really apprenticeships. What we also do at Juniper, which I think will be actually a fantastic opportunity again for a lot of employers out there, is what's called a traineeship. So basically what we have is learners that come to our training centres who approach us, which may not know quite what career they might want to go into, or they've got a real interest, say, in digital marketing or digital media or any of the careers out there, and would like that opportunity to develop some work experience skills so they can develop their career. And we're always looking for employers to be able to support us with this, and of course individuals who would be interested in that type of program. So for that program, it's slightly different than the apprenticeships. So you're looking at for the individuals themselves, 16 to 18, or up to 24 if you have an educational health care plan, an EHCP. And the program consists of a combination of workplace learning and classroom learning for between roughly 6 to 18 weeks. So if you need maths and English development, then of course it would take longer. If it is purely a work experience, then that would actually take probably 6 to 8 weeks, depending on what support we can offer. For the employer side of things, it's an unpaid position. So it's someone that's going to come in, is going to support your organisation, but equally for each person that you support, up to 10 individuals, you qualify for a £1,000 government incentive, and that's in addition to any apprenticeship. So if you took on, say, a work experience or a traineeship for 6 to 8 weeks, or even up to the 18. Went through that program, had the incentive for that, I thought, yeah, this person's absolutely great, I would love to offer them the apprenticeship avenue, then we can do that, and then you would qualify because they've not classed as being employed with you for the relevant apprenticeship vacancies. So hopefully that's sort of an overview of what we can offer, and yeah, there's some of the qualifications up there. Please ask any questions if there's anything I can answer, then please give me a shout. That'd be great. Thank you.
Great. Great. Thanks very much, Leighton. And all of the details for Juniper are available on the Stockport Jobs Match website. So if you've got some questions after today about apprenticeships or traineeships or work experience in any of those areas, then you can go on to stockport-jobsmatch.co.uk, click on training, and in our directory you'll find all of the contact details for Juniper and the different courses that they have available for you to book on straight away. You'll also find in our job section, you can click on apprenticeships and traineeships, and there'll be a full list of the traineeships that you can apply for right away now, including one that I'm going to mention in a second. And if you've got any questions, their contact details will be there, so please do get in touch with them. But thank you very much indeed, Leighton, for coming on this morning and telling us a little bit more.
Thanks.
Next up this morning, we have got Megan from the Apprentice Trust to tell us a little bit more about their offer and pathways into digital and tech and a couple of different areas. So I'll hand you over to Megan now.
Thank you, Caroline. So yeah, I'm Megan. I'm from Apprentice Trust in Greater Manchester. So I'm just going to give you a quick rundown of the courses that we've got running throughout March. So the first one is Future Leaders. Just the requirements for this. So it's a 2-day online course. To be eligible for this, you've got to be living in Greater Manchester, unemployed or working less than 16 hours a week, or in education or less than 14 hours per week, and this, you can apply for this if you are currently furloughed as well, and that is for the ages of 18 to 30. So a little bit about the course. If you could go on the next slide. Thanks. So Future Leaders is a great self-development course, and it's great to use that as something to kickstart your career. You learn a lot about yourself and how you work with yourself and how you also work professionally with others. And it gives you a really good insight into how you can apply that to your day-to-day life. It gives you a really good session on using LinkedIn, which is such a growing platform, and everyone should, use it if they can. You understand who you are and what value you bring to the team. And it's just a really great course to get to learn how other people may work with others, and it's really engaging, lots of fun activities, and you also get progression support for up to 3 months afterwards. So really good for any stage of life that you're currently at. Just on to the next course. So how to join this will apply for all of the courses that I will speak about today. You can go onto our website, or we also have an Eventbrite page, which is really useful. It'll show all the events that we've got coming up, and it's really simple to just sign up, and then whoever is running that course will just give you a call, answer any questions that you have, or anything that you want to ask them, and then they'll be your point of contact for that course. So the next Future Leaders one is at the end of March, and we have them running monthly as well. So our enterprise programme, again, it's for 18 to 30-year-olds, and it's opportunity to turn your big ideas into a business reality. It's a really, really good course. It's a 4-day, and it can be for anyone that's like a budding entrepreneur, or anyone that's just got a motivation to start their own business. And it could be a case of that you've got a little idea and you come on this course, and our staff can help you put ideas into action. And you can even get a level 1 award in exploring enterprise. Just onto the next one, please. So yeah, sorry, back one. I just want to talk about one of the young people that attended our enterprise course. So he went on to enterprise. I think he's done another couple of programs with us as well, and he had the idea to start his own drama business, and he got the grant, and it was really successful, and he really enjoyed it. Really inspiring young person. Unfortunately, COVID did happen, which put a bit of a spanner in the works, but he is now actually currently working for the Apprentice Trust. So it just goes to show that you don't know where one of these courses is going to take you. So there's so many opportunities, and it's not even, personal development, but there is also that case of employment. There are also grants for up to £5,000, and we do like a Dragon's Den style business presentation, and it's not as scary as it is on the TV programme. It's people like me or anyone on the Apprentice Trust team who will happily listen to what you have created. So this is actually a course that we've got, and it is running on Monday. So I think today would be the final day to sign up for it. So it's Get Started in Tech with a company called Safety Culture. So it is basically like a behind the scenes look into like a tech company, and it's a 5-day online course. You meet loads of other people and you get to see what it's like to run a business in tech. So they'll introduce you to each function of their office. So they're based in Manchester. So there's lots of different things, from customer support and marketing, and you'll also get some tips on interviewing and presentation skills. So it's a really, really useful course. But as I said, if you do want to sign up for it, today is the last day, but I would highly recommend signing up for it. We do have also, it's not on these slides, but it is a Get Hired in Tech. So it is it's with a company called Dentsu, and they have actually got 5 roles available. So if you are interested in marketing, they've got 5 roles available as a digital marketing assistant. And it's a 1-day course. So in the morning, you'll have mock interviews with our Apprentice Trust staff, and we'll be running some different activities with you. And then in the afternoon, you'll actually have interviews with the employer for one of the 5 roles available as a digital marketing assistant. Really great opportunity if you just want to introduce yourself or just see what it's like, even if it's just for help with interviews. Really beneficial program. And even if you're not successful in that role, then you will get feedback and support afterwards. And that is running on the 18th of March at 9 till 5 p.m. The last course I just want to talk about, so it's a bit of a rogue one, but I know that there might be people that this is right up your street. So it's a Get Started in Comedy with a professional comedian called Justin Morehouse. So he is a comedian, actor, writer and radio presenter, and he will help you how to write and perform comedy routines. And I think it'll be a really, really fun week with him. And you know, it doesn't have to be that this is your career path. It could just be something that you just want to enjoy, and something that you'll gain a lot from as well, and to meet other people in the same position. So yes, that is on the 22nd of March till the Friday 26th of March, and it is all online, so just from your laptop or computer. So yes, that is just our courses in March. If you are interested in any, you can go to our website or go onto our Eventbrite, and it's really easy to just sign up to any of the courses. And we've got a mailing list, so every month we'll send you out the courses for each month. And as I said, like, the opportunities change all the time, so there is something for everyone. And yes, again, any questions or anything, just give me a contact or go onto our website, and hopefully speak to you soon.
Great, thanks very much, Megan. That was brilliant, and I really love the sound of that course with Justin Morehouse, the enterprise course with the Dragon's Den theme at the end, where you can present your business idea. And some of those grants that are available are just absolutely fantastic. Yeah. Most of the eligibility for these aren't just kind of school leaver type age. They go right through to young adults as well, and slightly older adults too. So if you're interested in any of the courses that Megan's mentioned today, or you want to find out about other courses available with Prince's Trust, your best bet is to go over to Eventbrite and have a look at their page for the Prince's Trust. I often forget the off the front. But yeah, have a look on there, scroll through the courses, look at the eligibility criteria. Most of them are free for the age group, and you can just book straight away online, and they'll get back in touch and tell you some more information. So thanks very much, Megan, for coming on and having a chat to us today. Next up, we have got Andy, if he's there. Andy from My Outsourced IT, who's going to be talking to us today a little bit about digital skills.
Okay, well, hello everyone. My company is called My Outsourced IT. Basically, we're a project that launched to put computers in disadvantaged homes who are facing digital exclusion. So, you know, a family of 4 trying to fight over one mobile phone to do some studying was, yeah, it's not great. Basically, I was born because of the pandemic and noticed that everyone who was going home from school to do home learning, they just, yeah, not everyone had the facility to do it. And naturally, rich people, well, I wouldn't say rich people, affluent people have spare laptops lying around and things like that. So it was quite easy to get a hold of the hardware to then renovate and then pass back out to the people. The reason behind that is to, well, it's a massive problem, digital inclusion. I've got a whole thing about it. Basically, families out there with no computer access or internet access who are expected to do online learning, and they just can't do it. It's such a disadvantage. It's incredible. It's like being left behind in the dark ages in this day and age. It's everyone needs a computer, everyone needs to get online, and not just for training and things like that, but for schoolwork and, you know, other things such as that, or even helping old people who want to go online and do some online shopping. So we offer that kind of solution as well. What I did want to talk about was a bit about digital inclusion. Just bear with me 2 seconds, find it on my screen. Okay, so young people globally aged 15 to 24 account for almost 1/4 of all internet users. With society becoming ever more digital, inclusion for young people is becoming more important. What is digital inclusion and why is it important? Well, digital inclusion is a way of making sure that everyone has the opportunity and the skills to be able to access and make use of digital technology. There's a range of methods and approaches that can be used to help people do this. The focus here, though, is the importance of digital inclusion for young people, because they are entering a digital world and they must have the tools to navigate it. Some people may need more help than others. Young people seem very adept with technology, using smartphones, tablets, mobile phones. But despite how it may look, young people are not born with digital skills. Developing digital skills requires the opportunity to explore and help to learn. The vulnerable are more at risk of slipping through the net and not getting the opportunities that they need for later in life. For instance, they may lack access, support, technical ability, and confidence or motivation. All of these are essential for young people to develop basic digital skills. Young people may also lack critical literacy skills. This doesn't mean what you might think. When thinking of digital, critical literacy refers to awareness of the interests that lie behind online content. Confidence and skills in critical literacy are built only through frequent use. Watching TV and YouTube doesn't count as inclusion. A young person might be very good at finding and watching videos online, but the passive consumption of online content is not digital inclusion. For our young people to experience the opportunities that access the wealth of human knowledge that the internet provides, they need a range of skills in interacting with digital technology. So problem solving, transacting, communication, creating and managing information. Providing opportunities for young people to gain these skills is very important. It's important because of the world that we are growing up in. Today's adults aged 35 plus have a distinct advantage because this digital world grew up around them. These adults were eased into it. Young people today have no such advantage, so they must be prepared. As already noted, many young people just don't have the opportunities, the access or the skills needed to navigate the digital world they are growing up in. They must have the skills needed because in the coming years there will be tens of millions of jobs available for those with advanced digital skills. With a predicted growth of digital skills gap, the future for those without the right access to digital learning doesn't look very bright. The majority of young people today do not possess the right skills at the moment to fill the vacancies that are going to become more widespread. These digital skills are important now, not in several years when it's close to being too late. Access to equipment is a major roadblock in making sure that young people are included in the digital growth of the world they are part of. So that's basically that. We also have digital skills and marketing, which on a personal level is something I've been quite heavily involved with. I'll give you a quick example. Thinking outside the box would be trying to get the attention of a person who has no access to any digital device. You have a small budget, so you can't post them a letter. you can't rent a billboard because that's too expensive. How would you get to that person to pass on the message? So the message I'm trying to pass on is that there is a project available where they can get a free computer in their house to help them with digital inclusion. But how do you tell someone who's got no access to the digital world that, you know, that this is on offer? Trying to get to target audience of people by definition don't have access to a computer means that creative marketing and targeting must be used. By engaging with agencies such as the DWP, housing associations and councils, the project has managed to filter down into homes of digitally excluded families and adults. New ideas are needed all the time, and thinking outside the norm has become the new normal for my outsourced IT because we cannot target in traditional ways. Personally, I've had to get several freelancers involved to help build the message to pass down to different organizations. Freelancers to me are very, very valuable people because it's non-commitment on my term. Because as a charity project, you don't have that kind of income to pay for staff, so you rely heavily on volunteers. And during the whole COVID thing, I couldn't get volunteers to help because of the social distancing. So naturally, I've relied on websites such as what's it called, People Per Hour, who is a collection of freelancers who will do anything you want, really. In my case, they did a lot of marketing for me. So freelancers to me are very important. It's a good route to go down, in my opinion. Future-proof. Digital skill sets will future-proof you for life. Computers aren't going anywhere and their skills are always in demand. I started life as a programmer when I was 14 years old before moving through high school, college, university and then employment. The skills are always needed. Yes, they might be needed updating over time, but it's a skill set I can't even begin to explain how useful it is. Marketing, you are the voice of the company, the first impression, the interaction with clients and customers. You are standing front and center for the company or organization that you are working for. Many people falsely believe that social media is just for trending news and isn't a real skill. This thinking should be banned. It is a tool and a skill to be able to convey your message in a short, concise sentence to the masses. To get your point across, learn the skills, as many as you can, even if it's a lesser looked at skill. They are all important when combined into one marketing skill set. Think of it as having a tool bag and each new skill or training gets put in the bag. It helps you to be relevant, noticed, and will set you up for life. That's about it, really. I did want to announce that I'm looking for volunteers and possibly looking at apprenticeships, but I'll be talking about that with Juniper, I believe. But if you have any questions or you want to know how something works or, you know, the kind of work that we do, just drop me a message and that's it, really. Caroline? Oh, you're on mute. I can't hear you.
Thanks, Andy. Good to know. Good to know. The buzzwords of 2021. You're on mute. Yeah, fantastic. Thank you for coming on this morning and talking to us. Really good to know what digital inclusion actually means, and how actually watching a YouTube video isn't getting on board with the kind of digital revolution as much as we'd like to think it is, and to hear about some of those kind of future-proofing side of digital skill sets. So thanks for that overview. If anybody is interested in finding out more or is looking for a volunteer role and would like to support Andy in getting some of those digital messages out to support families with kit and the digital side of things, then please do get in touch. Again, I think Andy registered his details on the Stockport Jobs Match website, but we'll be emailing them all out after the event, so you can go on there and have a look at some of the information and how to get in touch, which is fantastic. So thank you, Andy.
More than welcome. Thank you.
Before we just go on to some of the employers that we've got coming up today to talk about kind of day in the life of different media and marketing careers, I just wanted to signpost you to some of the entry-level opportunities that we've got available at the moment on the Jobs Match website. So not all of them are within Stockport, as we're part of Greater Manchester Careers Week, and lots of people are able to travel. We've put a couple of different ones up here to cover the full remit. So Juniper, as we mentioned, who spoke earlier on today, today, Leighton's presentation, have an opportunity at the moment, really exciting one actually, for a music booking agent apprentice. That's in Oldham, and that's on the website. You can just click on the link, on the jobs link that says apprenticeships and traineeships, and you'll be able to find all the details there. There's a couple more with 360 apprenticeships. They've got one in Wigan and Bury, one for a digital marketing apprentice and one for a marketing and sales apprentice. Again, no experience required for these opportunities, just a desire to build your career in the sector. And apprentices can be any age, so feel free to go on there and apply for those. In Altrincham, Exemplar Group have got an opportunity for a trainee social media and marketing executive. That one sounds really, really diverse in terms of the duties involved and getting an opportunity to learn about creating digital content, SEO, the graphic design side of things as well. So that's fantastic. And there's a sales and marketing executive that requires a little bit more experience for the growth company. Whether you have got that experience now or not, it's a really good opportunity to just click on that link and see what that job involves, because that could be your second job after taking on one of these apprenticeships. So good to have in the back of your mind as something to move into. So as I say, all those opportunities are on the Jobs Match website at the moment, but we're going to move on now to hearing from some employers and industry experts talking about a career in the sector. And first up we should have David, but I think he's struggling to get on the call this morning, so we're going to jump straight to Chelsea at Oldham Coliseum and tell us a little bit more about some of the opportunities within the theatre industry. So I'll pass you over to Chelsea now.
Perfect. Fab. You can hear me and you can see me, so that's great. So hello everyone, my name's Chelsea and I'm the Learning and Engagement Officer at Oldham Coliseum Theatre. Now the Coliseum is a producing theatre in the heart of Oldham Town Centre, and we've been there for over 125 years. Now, we're a really busy producing theatre, and pre-COVID, we produce work on the main stage, which has around 500 seats, and in our studio with creatives, visiting companies, participants, and the community. We also deliver and design and project manage creative engagement projects, working with schools, community groups, young people and adults in Oldham and across Greater Manchester. Now, the Coliseum's probably most well known for our pantomime, and Cinderella, which was back in 2019, 2020, was seen by just under 35,000 people. And this is often a lot of people's first experience of theatre. Now, in the last year as an organisation, because of COVID, we've been working creatively in a slightly different, more virtual way. And last week we announced our new digital spring season. So just an example of our digital work is something called Whodunit at the Coliseum, and this is a production. It's a co-production with Front Room Productions, and it's about to go in rehearsals. I think it goes into rehearsals and filming next week, and it's going to be a film performance where audiences kind of get to choose their own adventure, choose their own story to discover who killed the front of house manager Edward Filch on opening night of the Scottish play Macbeth, which I shouldn't have said because apparently saying Macbeth in theatre is bad luck, but I'm at home now, so it's fine. So that's just a little bit about the Coliseum, just a bit of background. So now I'm going to touch upon some of the job roles within the theatre. Now, obviously there are
Chelsea, just apologies, we've just lost your audio. It's just clicked on mute for some reason. So just unmute you, and if you can just go, it was only like 30 seconds. So if you can just go back slightly, that'd be absolutely brilliant.
No worries. Oh, I'll keep an eye on that. I didn't click anything, I promise. I'll keep an eye on that mute button. Obviously a sign, people are telling me to shut up, but I'm going to carry on. So I'll just skip back to the example of the digital work, which is the Whodunit at the Coliseum. So that's a co-production with Front Room Productions, and that's about to go into rehearsals at the moment, and it's going to be a filmed performance where audiences kind of get to choose their own way, choose their own adventure, and find out who killed Edward Finch, the front of house manager on the opening night of Macbeth. So that's a little bit about the Coliseum. So now I'm going to tell you a little bit about some of the job roles within the theatre. Now there's lots to cover, so I'm just going to keep this quite brief, but if you do have any questions, our contact details are on the screen, and also you can find us on the Stockport Job Match page as well. So in a nutshell, we have the artistic team. So this is made up of the artistic director and our programme assistant, and they're responsible for the artistic vision of the building. So what work we do, what plays we do, all our different creative activities, and our artistic director actually directs some of our plays and projects as well. Now the next kind of department is the learning and engagement team, which is where I work, and we work with schools, colleges, youth groups, adults, community groups, anyone really. And our job is to design and deliver creative projects. And these projects might relate to the work on stage or our digital work, or it could be something that's exploring a specific theme using creativity, or it could be a project to tackle social isolation and support well-being. Next, we have our production team. So this is everybody that works together to put a production together on stage or digitally. So this includes our lighting and sound people, our stage managers who source props, support in the rehearsal room, and essentially manage everything that's happening on stage. So they'll know where all the actors stand, which side of the stage they go on and off, etc. We also have a production manager, very important job, who's responsible for the health and safety for everybody in the building. And we also have our in-house wardrobe department. So very, very talented team who can whip up a costume and do lots of research depending on the era of the play to make, create and source costumes. Now the next team I'm going to touch upon, we've got front of house. Now that's everyone you see when you're an audience member coming into the theatre. So this will be your box office team who sell tickets. It could be someone selling ice creams or programmes or working on the bar to helping you find your seat. So this really is a customer facing role, but they also have a responsibility for health and safety of the audience. So making sure everyone's kept safe. Now our next team, we have an in-house marketing and press team, and ultimately their responsibility is for selling the shows or the events or telling people about the projects we're doing. So they work on creating marketing strategies, writing press releases, creating our social media content. So this could be creating films for our trailers for our productions and making sure everything we put out from the Coliseum is on brand. So we have our logo, we have the fonts we should be using, our colours, so things like that. And finally, we have the more financial business side of the organisation. So we've got our chief executive who's like kind of oversees everything. We've got our fundraising manager who works with charities or wealthy individuals to get funds for the theatre or for specific projects. And then our finance team who pay all the wages, make sure all the books balance, etc. Now, we also work with loads of freelance artists and practitioners. So this could include actors, musicians, singers, filmmakers, sound designers. And it's worth noting that it's 70% of the theatre workforce is made up of freelancers. So that's quite, in theatre, it's quite a high number of people who work freelance. And I'm employed by the Coliseum, but I work part-time and I also work on freelance projects as well. So as you can see, there's lots of different roles in the theatre industry and they have lots of different skill sets and lots of different people are interested in those different environments. But now I'm going to tell you about an online course that we're running called Teaching Theatre Pathways. Oh, well done, right on cue. I was about to ask for the next slide. And so Teaching Theatre Pathways is a free online course for young people not in employment or education in Greater Manchester. Now, during the course, you'll take part in creative workshops, you'll learn how to plan and deliver creative projects, and you'll actually design your own and deliver it. So this will be like the work that I do in my department. You'll learn skills in project management, budgeting, safeguarding and health and safety. So safeguarding is just making sure everyone's kind of kept safe. You're not doing any, if anyone needs any support, you can help them with that. You'll build confidence, you'll get some top networking tips, because obviously if the industry is made up of 70% of freelancers, networking is key. How do you form those relationships? How do you keep them going? And we'll also be looking at how to pitch your ideas and how to apply for your own funding if you want to create your own work. And then you'll also receive some CV support and individual mentoring to help you get to where you want to go. Now, hopefully, COVID depending, we'll also have a theatre experience day at the Coliseum, and this will be a practical day where you'll do workshops in lighting, sound, wardrobe, stage management, all the things we need to be in the building for. And members of the group also get to see some Coliseum shows. So they'll get tickets for all our digital work that you need a ticket for. And then we're also gonna, whenever we're back in the building and we've got shows on physically, you'll be invited to come and see some of our work then. Now, we've been running this course for a few years. It's had kind of different variations of the course. This one's completely different because it's online. But previous members of the course have gone on to further education in creative subjects, which is fantastic. And then also some members have gone on to becoming freelancers and developing their own freelance career in the arts too, which is fantastic. Now, the course started last week, but don't worry, there are still a few places left. So if you are interested in getting involved, send us an email and we can sign you up ready for our session tonight. Now, the course is on Tuesdays and Thursdays, 5 till 7, and I'd love it if anybody wanted to join us this evening. It's been really lovely to speak to you all today. If you do have any questions, it might be about the course, about different job roles in the theatre. You might not quite be eligible for Teaching Theatre Pathways course. Don't worry, do get in touch. I think a lot of people who work in theatre will say the best way to kind of start a career in theatre is talking to people, getting in touch, joining your youth theatres, having conversations with people who work in theatre. So do get in touch with us and we will help the best we can. I hope that's been useful, and that's me over and out.
Oh, that's brilliant. Thank you so much, Chelsea. What an interesting insight into the theatre industry and the range of jobs from kind of wardrobe to finance. I guess when you sat in the audience, you don't really realise all of the different cogs that go into and putting on such fantastic performances. And what a great opportunity for people to get involved if they've got an interest within theatre and a great creative idea to put into play. So if anybody is interested in taking part, please do get in touch with Chelsea as quickly as you can, yes, so that you can jump on that opportunity or find out when the next one is coming up. So thank you very much indeed for coming on and having a chat to us.
You're welcome. Thanks, Caroline.
We're now able to go back to David, who was having a couple of technical difficulties before, but magic of the internet, we've managed to resolve those. So I'm going to push you live to him now, and he's going to have a chat to you about an incredibly varied career.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, over to you, David. Thank you.
All right, cool. Yeah, we're up and going. Sorry about that. All right, so I'm going to talk to you today about a career in the creative industry, what it's like, how I got here, and then hopefully try and give you some advice how you should approach it if you have similar ambitions to what I did when I left school. My name is David Scott, and as the PowerPoint presentation shows, my job is different every single day, depending on who I'm working with. The first thing that you need to understand about being a creative is that it's best to be able to do more than one thing. In fact, the person was talking about before about Oldham Coliseum. There's a variety of jobs that you might be unaware of until you actually go out and network with people. So you're better off, rather than just being focusing on one subject, try your hand at so many different things. You're young, you've got a lot of road ahead of you, so make sure you're doing that. More of which later, but I'll give you an idea of the jobs that I do at the moment. So I'm a BBC presenter, and I can be often found presenting radio shows, but I'm also a poet, and I can be writing for the likes of TV or Manchester United. I'm also a musician and an author on some other days of the week. On the outside, this may look like it's a fun job, which it is. I love it, and I wouldn't change my career for anything, but I need to explain that if you are going to be creative, be prepared to work really hard. I do so many different things because I enjoy it, but because of the nature of being a creative, you don't know how long your current contract's for, so it's better to be diverse in what you can offer. When you see most people in the public eye, you only see the results. you don't see the amount of hard work that has gone into it beforehand. And as such, a lot of people think that, or because they're on TV or they're trending on the internet, that it's an easy job. It is not an easy career option. It is one of the hardest. Breaking into the creative industry can take you years, and sometimes it can come down to luck as to whether you make a career out of it. But you can put yourself in a better position for Lady Luck to find you. I imagine at this stage you'll have an idea of what industry you want to work in, whether that's theatre, media, a game designer, artist, or performer. This is great, but in 5 years' time, this might and probably will change as you learn more about the creative industry, but also you learn more about yourself, and your interests will vary as you get to work with other people. What you have at the moment is a base level interest in creativity. You should really refine that now, and every possibility you should work at it. The early years of being a creative means that you might not get paid for what you are doing, but this will depend on what area you're going into. And the financial reward in a creative industry, or any job really, it should be secondary to what you are creating. If you are not in it for the fun first, then you might have a difficult road ahead. I left a job I absolutely hated that was paid really, really well to gamble on my dreams. And when I found out it wasn't as easy to walk into the BBC and say, hey, give me a job, it was just as well that I was having fun on the road towards getting that job. It's not as easy, but as long as you're enjoying what you are doing, it makes up for a lot of the time regarding the financial outcome. I would rather have an enjoyable 8 hours where I was paid very little and enjoyed my job, rather than be paid a lot of money and not enjoy it. And that's the beauty about being a creative. You can sort of balance the both, but it isn't an easy job. For a long time, I had to work for nothing. Worse than that, I would find myself having to pay travel fees to go and perform at other places and hold down jobs I didn't want to do in a bid to get by. If you are going to be creative, you need to work hard. I don't want to put you off, but if you are unaware how difficult it is, it may be disheartening when you realise how hard it is. You may have to do work that you don't want to get by initially, but don't see this as a failure. You should see this as a process. All creators, I'm sure the people at Oldham Coliseum will agree, do jobs that they don't like at some of the time. And once your paid job is over, you'll have to spend your spare time to get better at what you are doing, being creative with. So already are you working 2 jobs? You're working a job that is paying your bills, but also affording the time to work on your passion and your career later down the line. You may not get the recognition or paid initially, but you are refining your craft and learning your trade. Always keep an eye on what is 5 years down the line and not what you are doing right now. Realize that it's a process. So how to get a creative career? Some things to look out for. I think one of the previous people said that about networking. This is an absolutely huge thing. Make sure that you look out for other people who have careers that you want, and read up on how they got to be in their certain position. This will be quite diverse depending on what interest you have and what field, but everybody through interviews or even by reaching out on social media will have breadcrumbs like Hansel and Gretel for you to follow about how they got to a certain stage. You should look at that, emulate it, and say, okay, well, where am I on my career now? Okay, I'm just starting off. What was the first thing they did? And by networking, not only with people that are ahead of you in their career, but also people who are starting out in the same level, it'll give you some sort of camaraderie and a group that you're all embarking on this journey together towards a creative career. Another big thing is profile. If you are a creative, you need to have exposure for your work. Social media is brilliant for this, but I must stress, make sure that you use it as a professional tool for your work. What I did, because I like ranting about football, and not many people who hire me as a creative are interested in that, I have 2 accounts. So I have one for personal stuff and another one for my creative endeavors, and I suggest that you do the same thing. Also, never turn down opportunities to do something creative that might not be in your field. I got where I have by always having a goal. I didn't know I could present, but I didn't know I couldn't present either. So where's the harm in trying? It's fun, and from doing this, you'll find out more about the area that you're interested in and see how many different cool jobs there are available. I'm a presenter at the BBC, but there are also producers, jingle writers, journalists, researchers, and so on. There are so many different cool jobs that you aren't even aware of until you try. If you don't try, you will never know. So in a nutshell, you need to research what area you want to work in. Find out the steps other people in this field have done to get where they are and put together a plan how you copy this. Network, network, network. Speak to other people who want to break through and speak to people who are in the field already. Profile. You have to put yourself out there for your work to be exposed, but do it in a professional way. That doesn't mean boring, but think about what your profile says about you. have fun, always try new things. Being a creative first and foremost is about having a laugh, and I swear it is the most fun job I've worked at some really, really boring jobs, and like I said, they can pay great, but you only get one go at this on this planet, so you make sure that the job that you are doing, you are enjoying, and do not give up. When I was your age, there was nobody to tell me. I didn't have obviously I'm too old for the Zoom calls and Microsoft Teams, but there was nobody to tell me, a young lad in Longsight, that you could work for the BBC or you could pursue your dreams as a musician or as a poet. And I'm here to tell you now as proof that regardless of your background, your exam results, everything is possible. And anybody that is standing in your way saying you can't do it, you should use that as a force to prove them wrong. And we make that be the driving force. Say, right, well, if you don't think I can do it, I'm going to show you. And then it's win-win. So now I'm going to try and sum up a creative career through a Chinese bamboo tree. The Chinese bamboo tree are like creatives. We are different from other people. The Chinese bamboo tree doesn't grow in the usual fashion. Whilst most trees grow steadily over a period of years, the Chinese bamboo tree doesn't break through the ground for the first 4 years. 4 years, people go out and water the same soil without seeing any change. 4 years. And whilst those around them will look at them like they're crazy, and I had that when I started out my creative career, I was like, well, why don't you get a proper job? Because I don't want to. What you want, and people who are watering the ground, fellow gardeners will say, well, what are you watering the ground for? Nothing is growing. Then in the 5th year, an amazing thing happens. The tree begins to grow at an astonishing rate. In fact, in a period of just 5 weeks, a Chinese bamboo tree can grow to a height of 90 feet. It's almost as if you can actually see the tree growing before your eyes. And that's what happens in a creative career. You can work for weeks, months, and even years in your dreams without actually having signs of visible progress. And then all of a sudden, things take off. And that's down to your persistence and dedication and time and hope. That's big.
Oh, thank you so much, David. What a brilliant analogy of the bamboo tree that doesn't grow until after 5 years. That just shows that you've got to put so much hard work into these things, but that the rewards are there to have a career that you love, and that passion really came across today. So thank you so much for joining us and giving up your time this morning. What an interesting career, and very deserved, it seems, from all of those years where it didn't pay off to now doing something that you really love.
Yeah, definitely. Like I said, you just got to have faith in yourself and just keep pushing yourself forward. And it's not easy, but I think if you do want the creative, any sort of career, you've got to work hard at it, you know. But if anybody is interested in being a presenter or poet or whatever, if you want to seek me out on social media, I will always give up time to give any sort of advice and point you in the right direction.
Oh, fantastic. Thank you ever so much. That's great. Thanks, David. Right, next up, if I can skip ahead to get us back in order, a couple of slides forward, we have got Ben. Back one. We've got Ben joining us this morning from Studio 91. There we go. I'm back on track. Fantastic introduction. Over to you, Ben.
Thank you. Fab. Yeah, so like Caroline said, I'm a video producer and I run a company called Studio 91 Media. We're based in Manchester. I've just moved down to Cheadle in Stockport. I've been running this company since 2018, 2019, and I want to basically talk a little bit about how I got to where I am, so my kind of career journey so far, but also a little bit about the kind of freelance life, the entrepreneur life, and some of the sort of pros and cons of that, and also some tips for getting into media jobs really, but it's going to apply to kind of any of these sort of creative roles that we've been talking about today. Cool, next one please. Yeah, so I started life as a runner. That's me wearing my Blue Peter badge, which I'm very proud of, because I used to work for the BBC, and most of my kind of BBC career was spent at Blue Peter. But you generally find in sort of TV and film companies, usually the runner jobs are the place where you start, and that could be any sort of fetching, carrying, any odd jobs. Sometimes it's just about making teas and coffees. It's about kind of doing the dirty work and doing the legwork and basically doing the stuff that the higher ups don't really want to do a lot of the time. So it is always fun because of the environment you're working in and because of the energy of it, but it's not always the most interesting creative stuff. From there, I went into a production management assistant role. That's what the BBC calls it. In other places, it's sometimes called a production secretary. But again, it's a lot of odd jobs. It's a lot of sort of admin stuff and supporting the production manager in managing any projects, any people, and kind of keeping the team run smoothly. When I was doing that, though, I was always on the lookout for little creative tasks that I could do on the side. So what I tended to do was get all of my kind of admin work done well, but done quickly, and then going, I've got a bit of free time. Is it all right if I do this little Photoshop job or do this little video edit? I'd like try and put myself in those positions where I was doing something more creative. And because I'd done that, it gave me the experience that when I was able to interview for a researcher job, I kind of already had this creative experience in my belt. Under my belt, so I was able to say, look, I can do all this stuff. I can do it was at that point it was a job for the CBBC website, so creating content for that, and it was a lot of Photoshop jobs, a lot of video editing, and I'd been doing all that. I'd been proving that I was able to do it. So when I went into the interview for that researcher job, I kind of had the proof that I could do it. The next step from that was still at the BBC, still on the CBBC website, but it was called assistant content producer. And that was really where I was starting to get a bit more responsibility, where they kind of trusted me to go and do a film shoot on my own, and to direct people, and to be kind of managing other people as well. But that's kind of where my BBC career, I guess, stopped, or at least paused, because I decided to leave at that point. And it's mad because by the time I was working on Blue Peter as an assistant content producer, that was my dream job. That was kind of all I could have wanted. I was able to meet loads of really interesting people. I worked with film stars and pop stars and sports personalities, all this sort of stuff, and I loved it. But it got to the point where I'd kind of plateaued a little bit. I sort of learned everything that I could learn in that role. I'd got as far as I wanted to go, and if I'd kept going any further at the BBC, what would have happened most likely is it would have been more management roles and less of the sort of creative hands-on work that I wanted to do. So the solution for me was to become a business owner. It was to leave all that BBC corporate employee life behind and do my own thing as a freelance video producer. And yeah, that kind of came with its own I guess risks. It was a little bit crazy because the point when I left the BBC, I was married and I had a 3-month-old son, so it was like a weird time to be leaving the security of a regular employed job and kind of going out in the world on my own, where I've got to kind of find all this business myself. But it was absolutely the right decision for me, because I knew all along that I wanted to build something for myself. I didn't necessarily want to be told what to do all the time. I wanted to go and find work, pick and choose projects, and work flexibly in my own way. Which kind of brings me to the next bit, which is just some of the pros and cons of being a freelancer or being an entrepreneur. Because the main thing that I wanted out of freelance life was being my own boss. You do get to kind of pick and choose projects. You get to decide when you work. You know, if I want to take a day off, I can kind of just take it, and I don't really have to answer to anyone. The flip side of that is that you're not just your own boss. You've actually got loads of bosses, and so at any given time, I might be working on 7 or 8 different projects, all for different clients. And each of those individual clients doesn't know what I'm doing for everyone else. So they just think, oh, Ben's working on his edit for us, so I can bug him about that all day. And they might ring me about it, they might email me about it, when actually I'm busy with something else. Whereas when you're in an employed job, you've got one manager usually, and they tend to know pretty much exactly what you're doing. They know what your workload is. You might be busy, yeah, but they know kind of when they might have given you too much work. If you're a freelancer or you're an entrepreneur, you've usually got tons of clients and they all want a piece of you all the time. The other thing that's great about being freelance is the flexibility that it gives you. So yeah, like I said, I can pick and choose things. I can choose when I work. Maybe one day I want to start really early and get everything done by lunchtime and take the afternoon off. I can kind of make those decisions myself. There's less security with it as well. That's another con. Yeah, there's no kind of guarantees that I'll be able to pay my salary every month. You know, how am I going to make sure that I can pay my rent? Well, part of that is down to when I have a good month and I've got more money than normal, I don't just go and spend it all on a new camera or something. I've got to keep some of that aside and think about, okay, well, what if next month or the next couple of months aren't so good? I'm going to need to have a little bit of a buffer to make sure I can pay myself, but also, you know, I'm about to take on a full-time staff member. I use freelancers all the time. I've got to make sure that I've got the cash in the bank to pay them even before I get to pay myself. Yeah, and the other thing is you get bigger rewards. So the way that money works in the freelance world is people tend to pay you more as like a day rate than you would if you're in a regular job. That's just because if one of my clients wants some video content making, they could hire a full-time video producer, but that's going to cost them loads of money, or they could hire me for 2 or 3 days. So I'm getting more as a day rate, but they're actually saving money because they're using a freelancer. But yeah, along with those bigger rewards, you've got bigger risks because you can't guarantee that you're going to have the amount of work that you need each month to pay your bills. So there's all these kind of pros and cons, all these flip sides to it. It really suits some people, this kind of entrepreneur life. It really doesn't suit some other people. But yeah, for me, it's amazing. I know for a lot of people, it's how they want to live. Can I have the next slide then, Caroline? Because the other thing I just wanted to touch on was just some tips for if you want to get into these sort of creative jobs, whether it's, you know, working for someone like the BBC or another broadcaster like that, or whether it's being a freelancer. And these, yeah, they're kind of mainly focused on media, but really any of these creative roles that we've been talking about, I think these would apply. So the first of those is to build up your own portfolio. And by that, what I mean is do work off your own bat. So if you're going for an interview at somewhere like the BBC, or if you're trying to win a freelance client, the first thing they're going to want to know is what have you done already? And there's this weird vicious cycle with creative careers where, well, I guess any career, where the person interviewing you wants to know what experience you've got, but to get that experience in the first place, you've got to surely get a job. You don't have to. Like, when it comes to creative stuff, there's so much you can do on your own. If you can go into a BBC interview and they say, what experience have you got? And you say, oh, well, actually, I run a YouTube channel and we've got X hundred subscribers. And, you know, I put out 1 or 2 videos a week about this and that. I do all the filming, all the editing, all the presenting, all the graphics and branding, and I direct it all. They're going to be so impressed. And you've not had to you know, apply for a job to do that. That's just a choice you've made to kind of put that in action. You might not have the skills or resources to be filming and editing and that kind of thing, but maybe there's something else you could do. Maybe you could write, you could have a blog, for example. A podcast might be something you could do if you've just got a phone. You know, there's tons of things you could do, but what an interviewer is going to be looking for is what have you done? What initiative have you shown? What creativity have you shown? The second tip would just be to have ideas. So even if you're in, you know, when I was in that production management assistant job at the BBC, my actual job was to do admin. It was like spreadsheets and phone calls and meetings and that kind of thing. But I still have the confidence to suggest ideas, to say, what if we did this differently? You know, here's a new thing we could do. This thing's a massive trend at the moment. Can we jump on that and do something with that? If you can have the confidence to just kind of speak up and bring those ideas to the table, that always really impresses people. And then the third thing would just be to expect to start at the bottom. I've seen quite a lot of times when I was at the BBC, we'd get someone who was on a work experience placement, which is something that you can do really easily. Well, it's not easy to do it, but if you go on the BBC Careers website, there's always lots of placements on there. But sometimes the people doing those placements would kind of expect that they could be in charge. Like maybe they've done a uni degree in film production, and they just think that they knew everything about it. But that's kind of not what people want from you when you're just starting out in your career. What you need to to do is just be available. It's just to kind of almost sort of take whatever jobs you can get. As David kind of mentioned before, sometimes in creative jobs you end up doing, you tend to start doing not necessarily the job that you want to do. That's kind of okay, as long as you've got that end goal in mind, you know where you're headed. My advice would just be to kind of work at wherever you are, and to just raise your hand whenever it's appropriate to do so and say, look, I've got an idea, what if we did this differently? And just to demonstrate that you can do your job well, but also you've got something else to bring. So yeah, that's it from me. But if you've got any questions or you want any advice or anything, feel free to just get in touch through Caroline, or I'm on LinkedIn as Ben Horrigan, so you can find me on there.
Yeah, thanks, Ben. It's a funny one, really, isn't it? Starting your career off in the creative sector, because you're always expected to have experience, but how do you get experience?
Yeah.
So that's really, really useful to kind of think about some of the ways that you could start acquiring those practical skills and doing things in your spare time that you can then talk about in an interview or add to your CV. And really good to hear about the perspective of freelance, because I think that will be an option that people consider either through choice or just through the nature of the jobs market at some stage within their career. So really, really interesting to hear kind of the pros and cons from that. And it seems that as somebody who is relatively new to the entrepreneurial lifestyle, it seems to be suiting you very, very well. So thanks for giving us an overview of quite a broad career path today, and I think it will have inspired a lot of people, so thank you very much indeed.
You're welcome, thanks for having me.
So last up we have got Chelsea. If I can just ask Chelsea to pop a camera on. There we go, brilliant. Okay. And I've been unsuccessfully doing a bit of Chelsea's normal job today in trying to juggle all of my different presenters onto the event. So she's going to come on now and tell you a little bit more about radio, careers in radio, how it all works. So I'll pass you across to Chelsea now. Thank you.
Hi, okay, so my name's Chelsea, obviously. I'm Chelsea AJ on air, which you might know of because I've done quite a bit of radio locally. I do TV presenting as well for music and shows, and now I'm a station owner of Strawberry Radio. So really it's just how I started, because I started in the industry at 15, and it's the things that I did and how I worked my way through, but more importantly how it's changed over the decade that I've been involved, because it really massively has. So I just want to go through a bit of the history. It's going to be really simple. I'm not going to bombard you with dates or anything boring. It literally is just going to be a quick chat about that, because having employed a lot of radio presenters, I do find that a lot of the things and CVs that come through, there's a massive lack of understanding of the radio industry, and that shows, and it does affect really the employment rate you'll get. So I just want to be really honest about the industry. It's a difficult industry, so we'll just go through some of the slides. So the next one, there we go. So basically, back in the day, there were, so like you had TV channels 1 to 5, very similar. You had a few radio stations, and you know, Radio 1 primarily, you'll know it now, it still is probably your flagship station that you would know of, and then you had kind of other radio stations. Now these were your main ones. There's always been like main radio stations, but you'd have found that to every village there would probably have been a small local station that would obviously deliver the local news. So you know, there used to be a lot more press locally as well, like with regards to, you'd get your local paper, and you'll find that they've probably gone national now. So this is obviously how things used to be. So if we go to the next slide, I can explain a little more about how things are now, basically. So a lot of, at the top, a lot of the logos that you see, you will know and you will recognise. So there are basically now 2 main players within the radio industry. So you've got the Global group, and you've also got the Bauer group. Now, both of these groups have gone off and bought a lot of local small stations and added them into their network. And obviously you've also got the BBC as well, which operates individually, but it's slightly different because it doesn't run commercially, meaning it doesn't require radio adverts on air to run. It runs through money that's given instead. So let's just focus on, you've got your Bauer and you've also got your Global. So part of Global, you've got Capital, which of course you'll know. You've also got Smooth and Heart. So that's mainly their flagship. And with Bauer, you've got the hits, and you've also got Kiss FM and a few others as well, but primarily it seems to be the two. Now with this, what's happened, because obviously there's one owner who owns several stations, they decided that networking would be the best way forward. Now this is probably why when you hear from a lot of people there aren't a lot of radio jobs, or radio's dying, or just, you know, you probably would have heard that as of late. It's not, it's just taking a different form. So if we go to the next slide, sorry, there we go. So basically with networking, what's happened is there would be 50 presenters to say 10 stations. So you'd have your breakfast presenter, your daytime presenter, your drive time presenter, your evening presenter, your late evening presenter. Very similar really to Radio 1's lineup. So you've got your Annie Mac, you've got, you know, Greg James in the morning, you've got daytime slots. So everything that you know with that, and a structure with that. Now with these stations, what they've decided to do is network. So there's actually one breakfast presenter across Heart, there's one daytime presenter, one drive presenter, and it will go across networks to all of the stations. So this then means that you'll find to 10 stations there can be as little as 5 presenters, which is why there are now limited jobs within the radio industry. That is factual, but it's taking a different form. That's the difference. So I want to kind of let you know what that form is and let you know how you could now apply today. So if we go to the next slide, I feel like a weather girl without a clicker. So basically technology, I don't want to teach you how to suck eggs because obviously we all know about the internet, but it has massively changed, of course, TV, because you used to just have TV, now everyone's on Netflix. It's exactly the same for radio. So you used to just have your set stations that you'd watch, and now you've got the internet. So if you're into country, you can go to country. If you're into rock, you can just click on a rock. There are so many accessible stations now, but mainly online, which means this that you see now, which is when it used to run off tapes, it used to run off CDs, is no longer the case. Technology's moved forward massively, as it has with your phone. It's moved forward in the radio industry as well, particularly when it comes to studios. So this is what it used to be like, and then we'll just move through how it is now. So I remember one of my first shows live, this is what the desk looked like. And it was literally like, I cannot fly a plane, I don't understand what this is, and it took ages to learn. So one of the pros to things moving forward with technology is, of course, how advanced systems are now and how easy it is for you to go and, you know, present or whatever. So normally there used to be a producer and a presenter, because you couldn't obviously present at the same time as clicking all the buttons. But now you can find that you can produce your own stuff and you can also present, which is great because it gives you complete creative control, which I personally think is better. Now, I used to be station manager and a presenter on Imagine, the radio station, and this was the desk, what the desk looked like. I then left from that role of station manager and set up my own radio station, which I now co-own with Paul, who's in the picture wearing pink. He'll die of that. Loves that jumper. And this was this was the last radio station that I worked in, and this is what it looked like. Obviously still a bit dated, to be honest. So obviously when setting up Strawberry, we just went literally, we set it up in 2019 at the very end of, so it's still very new. So this is now what it looks like. And this is now how a station is basically, because you don't require all of the technology. So very clean cut, very little around. As you can see, the button desk has gone from what looked like a cockpit to now what is. And this is basically the radio station. This is Strawberry Radio. Like I say, it's all very, very new, really, but this is all that's required. Now, this is an exciting time, depending on who you speak to in the radio industry. There's a lot of people that have done radio for much longer than me. I mean, I've done it a decade, but there's people that have been in the industry for 30, 40 years, and they would say, you know, it's terrible how things have changed, and, you know, the internet's ruined things, and we used to have producers, and we used to have, you know, a desk full of things, and now it's all about the internet. Personally, my view, and moving forward now being a station owner, is you have to move with the times. And I think if you embrace it, it's actually brilliant. And to have so much space available in the studio, and for everything to now be, which is on the next slide, in the cloud, which is how things are, is great. So this is how it used to be. So obviously you can see that these are all the things that you required. You know, clutter, that it would now be called, which is, you know, crazy, but and now everything is literally done online. It's cloud-based. So you would, at one point, you would literally have a CD rack full of all these CDs that you'd have played. And obviously now, like with your phone and your iTunes, everything just sits in the cloud. It's cloud-based, which is why the studio can be so minimal now. So that's basically me just letting you know the A to Z of radio, because hopefully from that explanation, you'll understand why you maybe hear mixed reviews about the industry and what the big changes are at the moment, because people love to dramatically go, oh, it's a big change, and everyone's like, oh, you know, or don't bother with radio, there's no jobs. That's not the case. They've just changed. So that's basically the history. So a little bit about how things are different now would be, obviously I have ran a station and now own a station, so I feel I'm speaking from experience. And the first thing is, you have now, to your advantage, at your fingertips, everything to do a show yourself. So this should completely be embraced. There's no point emailing me or emailing someone saying, I think I could, I would be good at. Well, if that's the case, then show me. It's a creative industry and you've got right at your fingertips the opportunity to showcase that. So there's no point saying, I think I'd be really good at. Brilliant. Well, why don't you show me then and put that forward? And that basically is the way that things are changing massively. So even when I started, I used to just send through a little demo and say, hello, you know, I'm Chelsea and I've done a bit of this and I've done a bit of that and I'd like to come and join you, and they go, come in for a coffee and whatever. It honestly isn't the case anymore. I'll be very brutally honest, but I think that's probably best to save you wasting time if you wish to get into the industry. If I receive an email and there's a link saying, here's a link to, you know, my demo and a few other things that I've done, and an essay of everything that has been achieved, as wonderful as I'm sure that content is, I won't read it. And that is just being very, very honest. It's not because I don't have any respect for what you've done. I'm sure what you've done is great, but it's time. It's very time consuming and I don't have the time to do it. So firstly, conducting yourself when you apply. Now I'm going to say something that's probably going to make you laugh, but I cannot tell you the amount of times this has been received. Quite often you will be advised at college or whatever, at uni, to do a blanket email to everyone. That's absolutely fine. You've got to cast your net, you know, it's how much sand can you put in the bucket, because eventually, you know, it's going to come through. I understand that, but please make sure that you change the name of the station that you are emailing. So many times I've had, hello to everyone who works at Heart. You think, I didn't know I worked there or whatever. So you need to make sure, because that's attention to detail. The minute I read a line and it's the wrong station, I've clicked off it. I won't even give it the time of day to move forward. Now, it may seem really harsh as to what I'm saying, but honestly, I've been a station manager for 5 years. Now it's true. It's just truth. So I'm just letting you have an insight to that. What I do stand up and pay attention to, though, is very short and sweet, so it's easy for me to digest. Bullet points. I don't need to know where you've possibly made a coffee or whatever, because sometimes less is more, to be honest, because no longer are we reading, we just want to hear what it is you're doing. So I would suggest attaching a 2 to 3 minute demo if you can. So a demo would be made up of links that you have done at home. Like I say, you've got access to this right at your fingertips. It doesn't even require for you to go and buy a fancy microphone or for you to spend a load of money to do this. We absolutely take into consideration the fact that obviously your quality might be lesser than it would be from a station, but as long as we can hear and visualize you in a certain role or position, then we will take note. So it would literally just be, hello, my name is Lala. I have had an experience at la 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 la, and I wish to progress and possibly, you know, move with you guys, or I'd love to know if there are any further opportunities. Please keep me on file. Thank you. Now, another thing that obviously would be great if you could mention would be social media. So that's not to say, you know, if you don't have social media, you can't do it, but social media absolutely is completely the way forward. You'll know that everyone is using it, and it does go hand in hand with media in general. So obviously I do TV work too, it goes hand in hand with TV, it goes hand in hand with radio. So if you were to state also in, you know, in your email, I'm very keen on social media, and I'm keen to create content for social media, because one thing guaranteed that will help get you through the door of a radio station would be if you were to state that you were able to create some sort of social media content, because you can never have enough. You can never have enough content, even if you send out as a radio station 25 tweets a day and 19 Facebook posts, Instagram posts, something on TikTok, that you can never have enough content. So you showing that you're interested in that side would also help for you to break through. But I think really the main thing would be you need to let your demo or whatever you've created speak for you and attach that, and that would probably be the best way. Again, if you can get involved with any promo work, I know it sounds dated, but that's actually how I started, dressed as Peppa Pig. Handing out pens and key rings, you know, and I did it all. I'd also say as well that the whole, you know, can I come in and learn as well, which is quite a generic term, that doesn't really work either, you know, just because really what I would gain from that is you're confused as to what you want to do yourself. So if you just said, could I come in because I'm wanting to look at so and so, it would probably grab my attention more. But I think, you know, just show that you're enthusiastic, but mainly if you can get something to hand that I could instantly hit play, don't send a link, send it as an actual attachment, because if I'm going on links and I'm going off and I'm doing whatever, I'm thinking this is like a warrant to try and listen to you, that you need to make it as easy as possible. And if, you know, I have had it before, if I click on a voice and I like it, I'll know within a second, and then I'll stop the audio and I'll reply back there and then instantly, no matter what I'm doing, because I know that I'll be busy with something else at a later date, and I'll say, you know, thank you for this, happy to chat further. You'll often find as well, which I personally don't do because this is just rude, but you will find, and I myself have had so many non-replies, nothing, not even a, well, this is some advice, or you could improve on this, just complete radio silence, excuse the pun. And it really is devastating. And what I would give to you as an advice would be, please do not let that dishearten you or stop you from moving forward. It is a numbers game. It could literally just be that the person that day was busy, or they were off on a conference somewhere, or they were doing radio training with the staff or whatever. So please, you know, if I had taken all of the silence, I would never be here now in the industry at all, let alone a station owner. I would never have been, because there has been so many, and you just have to think, to 50 rejections there will come one yes. And that's the case in life overall, but I have been in other industries, but particularly in media, in the TV side and in the radio side, it is brutal, really. So that would be what I would say. That would be my advice. I'm sorry if it's been a little black and white and straightforward, but I think that that is the best way. And I wish wholeheartedly that someone had given me similar advice, just, you know, very straight talking, really, rather than being airy-fairy about it or whatever. So yeah, really that's what I'd say. I do have Strawberry Radio now. You can follow us on all social media. Quite often when we're doing events, of which we do a lot, we've got a big festival coming up with over 5,000 people attending in July. Fingers crossed for that to happen. We're always looking for staff on that, you know, to come along. It is obviously a paid position as well. So there are ample ways that you can get involved and you can show your enthusiasm. Also online, please do contact and take the advice that I've just given you. So I don't think you'd get a better opportunity in terms of it would be me opening the email and I've just told you what gets my attention. So it should be quite straightforward now, really. You know, and although at the moment we have no set positions available, if someone's good enough, we make a position, and that's radio in general as well. If you like what you hear and there's something that really excites you, you find a position for that person, basically. So always stay on our social, not just, obviously, it's not just to say everyone come to Strawberry, all radio stations that you're interested in, keep an eye out on their socials, because they use that massively to state what positions are available. I know that we do that as well. And, you know, if you would like to follow what I've just said and maybe send something through, or, you know, reach out because you want to get involved with events, then you absolutely can do. I'd love you to.
Great, thanks very much, Chelsea. And don't worry about potentially being a bit harsh this morning. I think it's really important to give kind of an honest view, and you've actually targeted that really well to give people some specific pointers about how to make a difference. And it's not about deterring people, it's about translating that into specific actions that they can take that is going to get through that raft of messages that you've got sat in your inbox, or the 20th person who's contacted that day. It's perseverance, it's volumes, and it's saying the right things and making the right first impression. But some great advice there. Can I just ask you briefly before you go, to finish on a really positive note, what are the best parts of the job that you do now? What do you really enjoy about your job? Because it's obviously so varied, being a station owner. Are there little bits of your job that you love more than others?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it goes without saying that obviously a massive highlight is interviewing celebrities, particularly if it's an artist that you personally like. That's always, it doesn't matter how long you've been in the industry, you do get a little excited and do a bit of a dance.
Any great interviews that you can tell us of?
I personally, my favourite was, and I'll relay the story as to why it was my favourite. I've got two, but Ed Sheeran, because he'd been out to the radio and he had a year break basically, and we were just chatting, and he told me that he'd been traveling a little bit, because he said, you know, he'd never really traveled before, which is something that obviously you think, oh god, yeah, that's true, because although you think they've got this amazing career, he was like, you know, all my friends have traveled and I've never traveled. So he took a year out, and he said to all his producers and everyone, he said, listen, I'm going traveling. And he went up a volcano and he went off, and he was supposed to follow the tour guide, and he stepped in hot lava wearing his sock and his shoe. Right, honestly, it's an awful story. And he showed me his foot as well. He had to skin grafts and everything. It was badly damaged, and he came running over to the tour guide and said, you know, what this is what I've done, this is what I've done. And he said, well, you know, you shouldn't have gone off on your own. And 2 points I loved about it. He said, I loved it because for once someone didn't treat me like Ed Sheeran. He said, I don't think this guy had a clue who I was, nor did he care. He was just going ballistic that I'd been such a know-it-all and gone off. And secondly, the fact that it also showed that obviously they do have, you know, their own lives, and there are parts, even though you think they're living this brilliant life, that they don't feel they're fulfilled. Anyway, the tour guide said to him, don't take your sock and shoe off. And I'm going to leave you with this because it's never left my mind graphically, because they said, just leave it. It needs to be removed at hospital. Anyway, he said the pain was that bad. He ripped his shoe off and ripped his sock off. And when his sock came off, ultimately, the majority of his foot came with it. And he was in a really bad way for quite some time. But, you know, it's things like that that obviously, you know, when I was told that, it wasn't anyway, he hadn't done any press on it, nobody knew it. You know, it really was just like a chat with a friend where you just think, like a friend would say to you, you won't believe what happened to me. So that one, and then the second one, although not very current, well, some would argue possibly, but Mark Owen from Take That. And I was on my way into work one day, and it was 9 AM, and I was in traffic. And I got a phone call, and they said, where are you? And I said, well, I'm not coming in till 9:30. I said, but I am actually on my way. And they said, all right, well, Mark Owen's here to do an interview, to chat with you. So I went, oh yeah, good one. And they said, no, honestly. So I was like, what? This is so strange. And in the time that it took me from traffic to get into the studio, Mark had taken himself all round the station. He'd gone to the sales floor. And apparently, I mean, I wasn't there, but he walked up to the sales floor, and everyone went, oh my God, you look just like, you look, you know, thinking he was a new starter or something. You look just like Mark Owen. And then he spoke, and he's got such a significant voice. And they went, oh my God, and you sound like Mark Owen too. Because this is like, you know, 9:15 in the morning as everyone's got in and taking their brews. And he sat down at a computer and he went along with the whole fact that he was new there and he was a new employee and he was just chilling out for the day, and he was just, when someone's coming over like, do you want a notepad? Like, do you need anything? Anyway, I come in and I'm thinking, where is he? Where is he? And I walk up to the sales floor, and obviously the minute I emerged, they went, oh, it is Mark Owen, because Chelsea's come again from the radio. He's just, and I said, guys, I said, it is Mark Owen. I said, Mark, what are you doing? And he just thought it was hilarious. But it's a story that I know a lot of them still talk about to this day, and they were absolutely gobsmacked, because it's not every day, obviously, you just go into your office and you're on the sales side and in walks Mark Owen pretending he's a new starter. So yeah, probably those two, but there has been many. That's not to discredit. I have been fortunate to interview a lot of people and they've all been lovely, and you know, that is a massive highlight of the job. Another highlight of the job is the creativity of it. To be honest, it really is an absolute privilege to be able to do something that's so creative. And also going back to what I said, you know, you don't even need a radio station or a brand or a representative, or you know, to be under an umbrella of a brand to be creative. Now you'll know if you've got TikTok, you know, some of the content you can create yourself there that really showcases you as a person does not require a brand. And I think that is so brilliant and so liberating. Now, when I first started, you know, there was obviously Instagram and stuff, but there weren't platforms really for you to kind of showcase who you are. And I think the fact that you've got that, I mean, you know, I just think that's so great that you can move forward with that. And, you know, there are people absolutely that do their own thing through social media and they don't even require anymore, you know, a station to be under or whatever. And I just think use it. If you are creative, absolutely use it. And I know that there's also the whole, you know, I've got TikTok and there's been things I think I feel a bit silly. You know, don't embrace it. And like I say, you've got so much to hand now with the radio side. Podcasts, start a podcast. You know, if you've got horses and you like horses, start a podcast, because you're not the only person in the world who likes horses, you know, and you can strike up on a network. Or if you particularly like film, or actually there was one guy who messaged the station and he really liked film, but he found all of the continuity that, you know, so sometimes when you're watching something and you go, their top's just changed or whatever, and not many people notice it, and he did an entire podcast about it, and he got thousands of people going, I noticed that too when I was watching the latest James Bond. Or so even something that's really niche that you would think nobody's interested in, there are millions of people on this planet, and you know, it's not even set to the you know, to this country. You can go worldwide with it, and there will be people that have a similar liking to you, and you can literally create your own brand yourself now if you just team everything together correctly and really believe that it's something you can do.
Oh, fantastic. Well, thank you so much. I'm aware that we're running massively over time.
I'm so sorry, and I'm all.
No, that's absolutely fine. I could chat to you and hear more of these stories all day. It's nice to hear kind of the positive side of where you can get to, from interviewing stars, from Ed Sheeran to Barry Manilow, and finding out about their different career paths. So thank you very much for coming on today and sharing everything with us, Chelsea.
No, honestly, thank you for having me. And you know, as I say, a lot of people come on and talk, and you know, I do think it's annoying. I find it very annoying when you've got those people on Facebook that are like, wake up this morning and feel happy, and you think, what do you know? But I can honestly say I wouldn't have spoke otherwise. Everything that I'm saying does come from experience, and quite a lot of it. So, you know, please do bear in mind what I've said and try and move forward with the advice.
Great, thank you. Thanks very much.
Thanks, everybody. Have a good day.
So just to conclude this morning's session then, a massive thank you to everybody who's joined us today. We've had some great tweets online and some feedback over email as well. Make sure that you keep following us on the social media using the hashtags GMCW 2021 and NCW 2021. There's lots more going on throughout the week, and you can check out the other videos that are available online. You can follow us on social media at JobsMatchSK on Twitter and at Stop Jobs Match on Facebook and Instagram. If you'd like more information about any of the presenters today, if you'd like to download the participation certificate that we mentioned at the start about your involvement in the National Careers Week activities, or some information packs about building your skills, look at different career profiles of what different jobs involve, everything is on our website, so head over to there and check that out. We've got one last careers event coming up tomorrow. That's on manufacturing, warehousing and logistics, and we've got some great guest speakers lined up for them as well, so be sure to tune in 10 till 11:30. The video from today's session will be going online shortly, so if there's anything that you want to recap on, if you joined us later and you want to go back and hear other speakers, or if you could share that for us online, that would be great. So look out for the YouTube video, and I hope you've all enjoyed today's event. Thanks for joining us.